Commander Jahe Park stared at the holographic message, her face illuminated by its eerie blue glow. The Galatian Concord had struck without warning, overwhelming the defenses of 3 outer colonies in less than a day. Your species evolved on what we classify as a death world. The alien diplomat's translated voice was eerily calm. Your biological adaptations and aggressive tendencies make you an unacceptable risk. Surrender your military assets and accept our protective oversight, or face elimination. You have 72 Earth hours to comply. Jahe's hand tightened into a fist. The aliens had made a critical error. They had only seen human cooperation, never human warfare. Admiral Ta-1, she called, turning to her superior. We need to activate the fleet. The Admiral's weathered face showed no emotion as he watched the message replay. His eyes, dark and calculating, scanned the data streaming beside the alien's image. They hit Proxima Colony, New Eden, and Frontier Station, he said. Civilian casualties are high. Jahe felt a cold anger settle in her chest. They didn't even warn the colonists. Around them, the command center of Earth Defense Headquarters hummed with urgent activity. Officers rushed to their stations, screens flickered with incoming reports, and the air filled with tense voices. The Concord claims to be peaceful, Ta-1 said, swiping through intelligence reports. Their confederation spans 52 star systems. They've absorbed 17 other species, all from worlds with mild climates and limited predators. And now they've decided we're too dangerous to be left alone, Jahe concluded. A young communications officer approached with a tablet. Commander, we have live feeds from the attacked colonies. The main screen divided into 3 sections. Each showed scenes of destruction. Colony buildings in ruins, strange alien ships in orbit, and human survivors being herded into processing centers. They're treating us like animals, Jahe whispered. Admiral Ta-1 stood up straight. They don't understand who they're dealing with. Earth isn't like their homeworlds. We evolved fighting for it every breath, surviving predators, disease, natural disasters. Sir, a tactical officer called out. The Concord fleet is massive. Initial scans show their technology exceeds ours in many areas. Ta-1's eyes hardened, but not all areas. He brought up a holographic display of Earth's defense fleet. The ships weren't as sleek or numerous as the Concord vessels, but they were built tough, able to withstand conditions that would tear the aliens' elegant ships apart. Commander Park, I'm putting you in charge of our response, the Admiral said. What's your assessment? Jahe studied the alien ships. Their designs suggest they prioritize efficiency and precision over durability. Their weapons are powerful, but they fight like they've never faced a real enemy. Because they probably haven't, said a new voice. Everyone turned to see Dr. Minho, the lead xenobiologist, entering the command center. He carried a data cube that he inserted into the main console. I've been studying the limited data we have on Concord physiology, he explained, bringing up diagrams of the aliens. They evolved on worlds with minimal environmental stress. Their bodies are adapted for ideal conditions. Which means, Jahe prompted. Which means they've never needed to adapt to harsh conditions, Minho said. Temperature fluctuations that merely make us uncomfortable could incapacitate them. Radiation levels we can tolerate would be lethal. Even Earth's gravity would strain their bodies. A plan began to form in Jahe's mind. So they have weaknesses we can exploit. She turned to a star map, highlighting the positions of Earth's scattered military forces. We need to gather the fleet, not for a head-on confrontation, but for something they won't expect. The Concord's ultimatum gives us 3 days, Ta-1 noted. Not much time. We won't need 3 days, Jahe said confidently, just long enough to bring our ships together and prepare a response that will make them regret their ultimatum. The Admiral nodded slowly. What's your plan, Commander? First, we evacuate as many colonists as possible from worlds near the attacked systems. Second, we gather our fleet not for defense, but for a counterattack. Her eyes gleamed with determination. Third, We show them what it means to challenge Deathworlders. Taiwan looked skeptical. A direct assault would be suicide. Not direct, Jae-hee clarified. Unpredictable. The Concord expects us to either surrender or make a desperate defensive stand. They don't expect us to hit them where they feel safe. She pulled up data on the Concord's home systems. Their worlds are paradise planets with minimal defenses. They've never needed to fortify their core worlds because they've never faced a serious threat. Understanding dawned on the Admiral's face. You want to strike their homeworlds. Not to destroy them, Jae-hee said. To show them we can. To demonstrate that if they want a war with humans, we'll bring it to their doorstep. A tense silence fell over the command center. What Jae-hee proposed was bold, perhaps reckless, but no one offered an alternative. How soon can we have the fleet ready? Taiwan finally asked. 24 hours to gather our scattered forces, the fleet coordinator replied. Another 12 to prepare for the operation. That leaves us a cushion of time before their deadline, Jae-hee noted. They won't expect us to move so quickly. Admiral Taiwan turned to face the command staff. Send the orders. All ships to rally points, full combat readiness, and prepare a response to the Concord. What will we tell them? Asked the communications officer. The Admiral looked at Jae-hee. Commander. She thought for a moment, then said, Tell them we received their message and are considering their terms. Request a 12-hour extension to prepare our response. That will make them think we're scared and buying time. As the officers hurried to carry out their orders, Jae-hee studied the alien ships once more. Their designs were beautiful, elegant, and vulnerable. They had evolved without the constant pressure of survival that had shaped humanity. In the next room, she heard the distinctive sounds of the Marine Corps preparing for battle. Captain Su-jin, head of Special Forces, was already briefing her teams on what they knew about Concord physiology and technology. Their environmental suits can't handle our normal operating temperatures, Su-jin was saying. Their weapons are precise but slow to adapt to changing conditions. Jae-hee stepped away from the command console and walked to the viewing window. Earth shone below, blue and green and beautiful, a harsh world that had forged humanity into something the Concord clearly did not understand. Her comm unit beeped with a message from the fleet yards. The carriers Hansong and Baekje were ready for immediate deployment. 3 more battle groups would be combat ready within hours. Commander, called Dr. Minho from his station. I've completed my analysis of their communication patterns. The Concord species uses predictable algorithms. They value efficiency above all else. Can we use that against them? Minho nodded eagerly. Their tactical systems will struggle against unpredictable human behavior. They'll expect us to follow optimal patterns. Jae-hee smiled grimly. Then we'll give them chaos instead. As night fell over the headquarters, Jae-hee watched the first ships rise from Earth's surface, powerful engines glowing against the darkness. More vessels detached from orbital stations, forming up for the journey to the rally points. Admiral Taiwan joined her at the window. The President has approved your plan, he said quietly. All military forces are now under your command for Operation Thunderbolt. Jae-hee nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. Billions of human lives depended on her decisions in the coming days. The Concord thinks they're being merciful by giving us a chance to surrender, she said, but they've made a fundamental mistake. What's that? Taiwan asked. They think our evolution on a death world makes us dangerous animals to be contained, Jae-hee replied, watching more ships join the growing fleet above Earth. But they don't understand that surviving on a harsh world didn't just make us strong. It taught us the value of cooperation, adaptation, and innovation. She turned to face the Admiral. They've only seen our peace. Now they'll see our strength. The massive carrier Hansong hummed with activity as Captain Do-hyun checked the final preparations. Earth's military hadn't faced a true existential threat in generations, but their ships were built tough, designed to withstand radiation, extreme temperatures, and gravitational stresses that would tear the Concord's elegant vessels apart. Across the ship, Science Officer Subin analyzed the biological data they'd gathered on the Concorde species. They evolved on worlds with stable climates and few predators, she reported. Their neurological responses show poor adaptation to unpredictable stimuli. They've engineered their environments to be constant and predictable for millennia. In the armory, Marine Commander Jae-ho drilled his Special Forces team. Remember, what feels uncomfortable to us will be unbearable to them. Our normal is their nightmare. The Hansong's cavernous landing bay echoed with the sounds of preparation. Maintenance crews swarmed over assault shuttles, weapon systems hummed through diagnostic checks, and the deck vibrated with the ship's powerful engines. Captain Do-hyun moved through the organized chaos with practiced efficiency. He had commanded the Hansong for 6 years, but never for a mission like this. The ship itself seemed to sense the gravity of the situation, its reactor core running hotter, its systems more responsive. Engine status. Do-hyun asked his chief engineer. Main drives at 98% efficiency, Captain. Backup systems fully charged. We've reinforced the radiation shielding on decks 3 through 7. Do-hyun nodded. And the new heat sinks. Installed. We can now operate in temperature extremes that would cook most Concorde ships from the inside out. That was exactly what Do-hyun wanted to hear. The Hansong wasn't the newest vessel in Earth's fleet, but it was among the most robust. Humans had built their ships like they built their societies, to endure harsh conditions. On the bridge, tactical officers ran simulations based on the limited combat data from the colony attacks. The Concorde ships moved with perfect precision, their formations mathematically spaced, their attack patterns following optimal solutions. It's like they're running on algorithms rather than instinct, noted the weapons officer. Do-hyun studied the holographic display. That predictability can be exploited. Program our countermeasures to disrupt their formations. I want chaotic response patterns, nothing they can easily calculate. In the science lab, Subin and her team worked tirelessly. She hadn't slept in 24 hours, but adrenaline kept her focused. The fate of humanity might depend on understanding their enemy. Look at this, she said to her assistant, pointing to a neural scan. Concorde brains process information sequentially. They struggle with parallel tasks or sudden changes. So they're rigid thinkers. More than that, Subin explained, bringing up environmental data. Their homeworlds have stable seasons, minimal tectonic activity, and filtered starlight. They've never needed to adapt to harsh conditions. She pulled up another display showing a Concorde ship's life support systems. Their comfort range is extremely narrow. Temperature variations of just 5 degrees cause them distress. Radiation levels that merely give humans a mild headache could incapacitate them completely. Can we use that against them? Subin smiled grimly. We already are. I've sent specifications to engineering for modifications to our boarding shuttles. We're going to set the environmental controls to what we consider mild discomfort, which will be biological warfare to them. Meanwhile, 3 decks below, Commander Jae-ho put his Marine squad through final drills. They practiced in powered exoskeletons designed for the coming mission, reinforced suits that amplified human strength and endurance. Again, Jae-ho commanded as his soldiers ran the boarding simulation. Faster entry, tighter formation. Remember, we'll be fighting in an environment that's hostile to them, but comfortable for us. One of the newer Marines, Han, raised his hand. Sir, what exactly are we facing? I've seen the briefings, but... Jae-ho activated a holographic display showing a Concorde soldier. The alien was taller than a human, with 4 limbs and pale, almost translucent skin. Its exoskeleton armor looked impressive, but covered its entire body. They can't function without their environmental suits, Jae-ho explained. Their skin is sensitive to temperature changes, radiation, even some wavelengths of light. They've evolved in paradise and designed their technology to maintain that paradise. He switched to footage from the colony attacks. But don't underestimate them. Their weapons are advanced, and they outnumber us significantly. What we have is the element of surprise and our natural adaptability. Another Marine spoke up. Will our regular weapons work against them? Yes, but we've modified them, Jaiho answered, lifting a standard pulse rifle. These now emit radiation frequencies that penetrate their shielding, and our combat suits are designed to function in environments we'll deliberately make hostile to them. Throughout the ship, similar preparations continued. Medical teams prepared specialized treatments for potential alien weapons. Engineers modified hull plating to absorb enemy fire. Pilots ran simulations of attack runs through conditions the Concord would consider unsurvivable. Captain Do Hyun returned to the bridge as a communication came through from Earth Command. Commander Jae-hee's face appeared on the main screen. Captain, status report. The Kansong is ready, Commander. All systems go. Crew at full combat readiness. Jae-hee nodded. The fleet will rendezvous at coordinates Beta 9 in 6 hours. Admiral Taiwan has approved Operation Thunderbolt to commence immediately afterward. That's ahead of schedule, Do Hyun noted. Deliberately so. The Concord expected us to use the full 72 hours they gave us. We're moving faster to catch them unprepared. Do Hyun smiled. The element of surprise. Humans are good at that. After the communication ended, Do Hyun addressed his bridge crew. All departments, prepare for immediate departure. Navigation, plot a course to Beta 9, using the gravity well of Jupiter to accelerate our exit from the solar system. As the massive ship began to move, Su Bin joined the captain on the bridge, bringing her latest findings. Captain, I've been studying the attacked colony sensor logs. The Concord ships avoid asteroid fields, radiation belts, and even mild solar flares. They navigate around hazards that our ships routinely pass through. Do Hyun saw the opportunity immediately. Send this data to Tactical. I want a map of every hazardous region between here and Concord space that we can use as highways while they're forced to take the long way around. In the ship's mess hall, off-duty crew shared a meal that might be their last in peace. Despite the grave circumstances, the atmosphere wasn't fearful but determined. Humans had faced extinction-level threats throughout their evolution. It was nothing new. I heard the Concord thinks we're dangerous because we come from Earth, a young technician said. A veteran engineer laughed. They have no idea. They think our planet made us aggressive, but they've got it backward. Our planet made us survivors. As the Kansong accelerated out of Earth orbit, it was joined by other vessels. The destroyers Tevak and Jurisin the cruiser Sirak and a dozen smaller craft. Together, they formed just one battle group of the fleet gathering to confront the Concord threat. In his private quarters, Do Hyun reviewed the mission parameters one final time. Operation Thunderbolt wasn't just a defensive action. It was humanity's statement to the galaxy. The Concord had misjudged them, thinking that evolution on a harsh world had made humans little more than clever predators. They would soon learn their mistake. Earth wasn't just a death world. It was a teacher that had forged humanity through challenge after challenge, making them not just strong but ingenious, not just tough but adaptable. As the battle group accelerated toward the rendezvous point, Commander Jeho gathered his Marines for a final briefing. The Concord thinks they're superior because they've never known hardship, he told them. But we know better. It's not despite Earth's challenges that we've reached the stars. It's because of them. The ships of humanity's fleet, scattered across the solar system, all converged on a single point. They weren't as numerous as the Concord Armada, not as technologically advanced in some ways, but they carried something the Concord couldn't understand. The legacy of a species that had never accepted defeat, that had turned disadvantages into strengths, that had learned to thrive in conditions others found impossible. As Captain Do Hyun watched the fleet gathering on his tactical display, he felt a sense of pride. Soon, the Galactic Concord would learn what happened when you threatened a species forged in fire. The human fleet emerged near New Eden Colony, immediately splitting into formations that seemed chaotic to Concord tacticians. "They're not following any recognizable battle doctrine," a confused Concord commander reported. Captain Duhyun's voice crackled over the comm. "Execute thunderstorm protocol." The human vessels abruptly changed course, deliberately flying through radiation belts and debris fields that the Concord ships meticulously avoided. The Hansong led a direct assault on the main Concord vessel, absorbing punishment that would have destroyed any Concord ship. When Commander Jaiho's boarding team breached the Concord command ship, the aliens were unprepared for beings who could function in variable gravity and atmospheres considered toxic by their standards. The Concord flagship Eternal Harmony drifted in high orbit above New Eden Colony. Its sleek crystalline hull reflected the light of the nearby sun, creating rainbow patterns across its surface. Inside the vessel's command center, Supreme Commander Varixt stared at the tactical display with growing confusion. "What are they doing?" he demanded, his translator converting his musical language to human standard. "Their formation makes no sense." The human fleet had appeared from hyperspace in a tight, organized group, then immediately scattered in all directions. Some ships accelerated toward New Eden's small moon, others dove toward the planet's atmosphere, and still others seemed to be randomly changing course. "They must be malfunctioning," suggested Varix's second-in-command. "Perhaps our initial assault damaged their navigation systems." Varix wasn't convinced. The Concord had studied humans since first contact 5 years ago. They knew humans were unpredictable, but this defied all logic. No military force would split up when facing a superior enemy. On board the Hansong Captain Do-hyun watched the Concord fleet's reaction. Just as expected, the alien vessels maintained their perfect geometric formation, tracking the scattered human ships but not pursuing. "They're confused," reported his tactical officer. "Their formation is holding steady." Do-hyun nodded. "And the radiation belt?" "Readings are at optimal levels, Captain. Solar activity has increased just as predicted. All ships, execute thunderstorm protocol," Do-hyun ordered through the fleet-wide channel. Across the battlefield, human vessels suddenly changed course again. This time, they all accelerated toward a specific region of space, a radiation belt created by New Eden's magnetic field interacting with solar winds. It was an area the Concord ships had carefully avoided. On the Eternal Harmony alarms blared. "The human ships are entering the radiation zone," exclaimed a Concord navigator. "They'll be disabled within minutes." Varix watched in disbelief as the human fleet plunged into the swirling energies of the radiation belt. According to all Concord data, such radiation levels would disrupt ship systems and harm the crew. "Should we pursue?" asked his second-in-command. "Negative," Varix decided. "Maintain position and prepare defensive systems. They'll emerge damaged, and we'll intercept them then." But inside the radiation belt, the human ships were far from damage. The Hansong led the formation, its reinforced hull easily withstanding radiation levels that would have crippled Concord vessels. "Ship status?" Do-hyun asked as energy cascaded across the view screen. "All systems nominal, Captain. Radiation shield holding at 82% capacity." Do-hyun smiled. "And the fleet?" "All ships report green status. The radiation is masking our movements completely. The Concord can't track us inside the belt." "Perfect. Begin Phase 2. The human vessels regrouped inside the radiation belt, hidden from Concord sensors. Engineers made final adjustments to weapons and shields, calibrating them to exploit the electromagnetic environment. In the Hansong's launch bay, Commander Jaiho and his Marine squad prepared for boarding action. "Remember your training," Jaiho told his team as they checked their combat suits. "We'll be entering an environment designed for Concord comfort, low gravity, filtered light, carefully controlled temperature. But we're bringing Earth conditions with us." One of the Marines held up a small device. Environmental disruptors ready, Commander. Jai-Ho nodded. Once these activate, their ship will become a death world for them and a home field for us. Minutes passed as the Concord fleet waited for the humans to emerge from the radiation belt. Varix grew increasingly uneasy. They should have turned back by now, he said. No species would willingly expose themselves to such conditions for this long. Suddenly, alerts blared across the Concord flagship. Multiple contacts emerging from the radiation belt, shouted the sensor officer. What? This can't be right. They're showing no signs of damage. The human fleet burst from the radiation belt in perfect formation, weapons hot and shields at maximum. Instead of the scattered, damaged vessels the Concord expected, they faced a coordinated attack force. Varix had only seconds to react. All ships, defensive positions, target the human flagship. But the Concord formation, designed for precise, calculated engagement, couldn't adapt quickly enough to the human tactics. The human vessels streaked through space in unpredictable patterns, some flying directly through debris fields that the Concord ships carefully navigated around. The Hansong absorbed the first volley from the Concord flagship, its reinforced hull glowing but holding. Direct hit, reported the damage control officer. Shields at 76%. Hull integrity stable. Return fire, ordered Du-hyun calmly. Target their propulsion systems. The Hansong's main cannons fired, the energy beams enhanced by particles collected from the radiation belt. They struck the Eternal Harmony with devastating effect, bypassing outer shields and damaging one of its drive systems. On the Concord flagship, Varix struggled to understand what was happening. How are they withstanding our weapons? Their ships should be crippled. His second-in-command had no answer. The tactical computers couldn't process the human battle strategy. It defied the optimal patterns that the Concord had relied on for centuries. As the space battle raged, the Hansong closed with the Eternal Harmony absorbing punishment that would have destroyed any Concord ship. Du-hyun's plan was working perfectly. The Concord were so focused on their main weapons exchange that they failed to notice the assault shuttles launching from the Hansong's belly. Commander Jai-Ho led 3 shuttles toward the Concord flagship's docking bay. Approach vector locked. Prepare for boarding action. The small, nimble craft evaded the flagship's point defense systems, which were programmed to expect conventional attack patterns. Jai-Ho's shuttle entered the docking bay first, landing hard on the pristine deck. Brothers on, Jai-Ho ordered as his team prepared to exit. Remember, we're bringing Earth with us. The Marines deployed from the shuttles in practiced formations, immediately activating devices that began altering the environment around them. Temperature increased, gravity intensified, and the carefully filtered light became harsh and bright. Concord security forces responded quickly, but they were immediately at a disadvantage. Their environmental suits, designed for minor fluctuations, couldn't compensate for the rapid changes the humans were creating. "They're slowing down," observed one of Jai-Ho's team as they advanced through the corridors. "The gravity's affecting them." The Concord soldiers moved sluggishly in the increased gravity, their weapons fire becoming erratic. Some began to stagger as their suits failed to maintain optimal conditions. Jai-Ho led his team deeper into the ship, heading for the Environmental Control Center. "Keep pushing. We need to reach the central hub before they can adapt." On the bridge of the Eternal Harmony Varix received increasingly disturbing reports. Intruders on multiple decks, environmental systems failing, security forces unable to contain them. "How is this possible?" Varix demanded. "They're operating in conditions that should incapacitate them." His question was answered moments later when the bridge doors hissed open, revealing Commander Jai-Ho and his Marines. The humans stood tall despite the supposedly toxic ship atmosphere, their weapons trained on the Concord command staff. "Supreme Commander Varix," Jai-Ho stated, his voice amplified by his helmet speakers, "your ship is under our control. Varric stared at the humans in disbelief. How? How are you even functioning? We've increased the atmospheric ether to levels that should render you unconscious. Jai-Ho removed his helmet, causing gasps from the Concord officers. The human breathed the ship's air without difficulty. What you consider poison, we call Tuesday on Earth, Jai-Ho said. You made a serious mistake when you classified us as dangerous just because we evolved on a harsh world. Outside, the battle had turned decisively. The human fleet, using the tactics that seemed chaotic to Concord observers, had disabled or captured 6 Concord vessels. The remaining ships were retreating, their perfect formation broken. Captain Du-hyun's voice came through on the command channel. Commander Jai-Ho, status report. Jai-Ho looked at the defeated Concord commander. Flagship secured, Captain. The Supreme Commander is ready to discuss terms. As the human Marines secured the bridge, Varric finally understood the Concord's fatal error. They had judged humans as dangerous because they evolved on a world with harsh conditions. What they failed to realize was that those conditions hadn't just made humans physically resilient. They had made them adaptable, innovative, and impossible to predict. The Deathworlders hadn't just brought weapons to this battle. They had brought Earth itself. They're summoning their entire armada. Admiral Ta-1 informed the War Council. They believe they can overwhelm us with numbers. Su-bin projected a galactic map. The Concord avoids these sectors due to stellar instability and radiation. We can use these as highways while they're forced to take longer routes. The human fleet dispersed into smaller task forces, striking Concord positions with hit-and-run tactics that confounded their rigid strategic algorithms. On the Concord homeworld, the Grand Assembly debated frantically. These Deathworlders don't surrender when victory is mathematically impossible, one leader exclaimed. They keep fighting. Admiral Ta-1 stood at the center of Earth Command's war room. Around him, military leaders from across human space watched as the holographic display showed hundreds of Concord ships converging from all corners of their territory. The victory at New Eden had struck a blow, but the Concord response was massive. They've recalled vessels from every system under their control, reported the intelligence officer. This is their entire military might. Commander Jae studied the movements. They're abandoning defensive positions to form this armada. They think numbers alone will decide this conflict. The assembled officers fell silent. Even with their recent victory, the humans were outnumbered nearly 10-1. Conventional military doctrine would suggest surrender or at least a strategic retreat. Admiral Ta-1 looked at the faces around him. None showed fear. Su-bin, show us what you found. Science Officer Su-bin stepped forward, her fingers dancing over the controls. The galactic map zoomed in on the space between human territory and the approaching Concord armada. The Concord have always avoided these regions, she explained, highlighting several sectors in red. This nebula contains radiation patterns that interfere with their navigation systems. This binary star system experiences regular solar flares. This asteroid field has unpredictable gravitational fluctuations. Captain Du-hyun, attending via holographic link from the Hansung asterisk, leaned forward, and our ships can traverse these areas. With some modifications, yes, Su-bin confirmed. We've already tested prototypes in similar conditions. Our hulls can withstand the radiation, and our navigation systems can compensate for the gravitational anomalies. Admiral Ta-1 nodded slowly. So while the Concord must take the long route around these hazards, we can use them as highways, Jae finished, cutting travel time by more than half. The strategy was bold, perhaps even reckless, but humanity had always thrived by turning apparent disadvantages into strengths. We'll need to split our forces, Admiral Ta-1 decided. Small, fast-moving task groups that can strike and fade before the Concord can bring their numbers to bear. The plan took shape quickly. The human fleet would break into 12 task forces, each targeting different Concord positions. Instead of facing the armada directly, they would attack lightly defended Concord worlds, forcing the aliens to divide their forces. On the Hansong asterisk, now repaired after the battle at New Eden, Captain Do-hyun briefed his crew. Task Force Typhoon will pass through the Cerulean Nebula, a region the Concord considers lethal due to radiation levels. Our enhanced shielding will protect us, but we'll need to adjust environmental controls. His officers took the news with determined nods. After their victory at New Eden, confidence ran high. The crew had seen firsthand how the supposedly superior Concord folded when faced with unpredictable human tactics. Engineering reports shield modifications are complete, his second-in-command reported. We can sustain nebula conditions for up to 72 hours. Do-hyun smiled. We'll only need 24. Throughout human space, similar preparations were underway. Ships received hasty upgrades to survive conditions the Concord avoided. Marines trained in variable gravity and atmospheric conditions. Scientists developed new weapons that exploited Concord physiological weaknesses. 2 days later, the human counteroffensive began. Task Force Typhoon, led by the Hansong asterisk, plunged into the swirling azure clouds of the Cerulean Nebula. Radiation alarms blared continuously as the ships pushed through conditions that would have crippled Concord vessels. Hull temperature rising, reported the engineering officer. Radiation levels at 300% of normal tolerance. Do-hyun remained calm. Status of the crew. Some mild radiation sickness reported in lower decks. Medical is distributing suppressants. Nothing serious, Captain. The human ships emerged from the nebula much closer to their target than the Concord could have anticipated. The alien colony world of Haven Prime had minimal defenses. The Concord never expected an attack through the impassable nebula. They've detected us, the tactical officer announced. But their response is confused. They're trying to recall ships from the main armada, but the nearest reinforcements are 3 days away. Do-hyun nodded. Begin the attack. Remember, we're not here to occupy, just to demonstrate what we can do. The Hansong asterisk led the assault, its weapons targeting defense platforms and military installations while carefully avoiding civilian areas. The message was clear. Humans could strike anywhere in Concord space if they chose to. Similar scenes played out across Concord territory, as human task forces appeared where they shouldn't have been able to reach. They emerged from radiation belts, asteroid fields, and unstable gravity, wells to strike at supposedly secure worlds before disappearing again. On the Concord homeworld of Harmony, the Grand Assembly convened an emergency session. The vaulted crystal chamber echoed with angry and frightened voices as leaders from across the Concord Confederation demanded answers. How are they doing this? Asked Delegate Linar, his translucent skin flushed with stress colors. Our sensors show they're traveling through regions that should kill any living being. Supreme Commander Varix, recently released from human custody as part of a prisoner exchange, stood before the assembly. His normally immaculate appearance was disheveled, his experience as a captive having left visible marks. We have gravely misjudged the humans, he admitted. What we classified as a death world has produced beings with capabilities we didn't think possible. But our numbers are still superior, another delegate insisted, once we engage them directly. They refuse to engage directly, Varix interrupted. Their ships appear, strike, and vanish before we can respond. They're using environments we cannot enter as their highways and hiding places. The assembly fell silent as the tactical display updated, showing another human raid, this time against a Concord supply depot. The aliens watched in disbelief as human ships flew directly through a solar flare that would have fried Concord electronics and killed Concord crews. These Deathworlders don't surrender when victory is mathematically impossible, one leader exclaimed. They keep fighting. And worse, added another, they seem to be enjoying it. Indeed, intercepted communications between human vessels revealed a spirit that baffled the Concord. Human crews joked in the face of danger, celebrated successful missions with emotional displays, and showed a camaraderie that the individualistic Concord struggled to understand. Back on the Hansong asterisk, Task Force Typhoon prepared for its next strike. The ships had taken refuge in an asteroid field, making repairs and treating the wounded. Despite the harsh conditions and the danger of their mission, morale remained high. In the ship's mess hall, Commander Jeho shared a meal with his Marines. They bore the marks of recent combat: bandages, bruises, tired eyes. But their spirits were unbroken. To Earth, Jeho toasted, raising his cup, the death world that made us who we are. To Earth, his team responded. On the bridge, Captain Du Hyun received new orders from Admiral Tawan. The hit-and-run tactics were working. The Concord Armada had begun to split up, dividing their forces to defend key worlds. They're adapting faster than expected, Tawan's message stated, but still not fast enough. Proceed to Phase 3. Phase 3 was the boldest part of the human strategy. Instead of continuing to harass the periphery, selected task forces would penetrate deep into Concord space, threatening the core worlds that had never known conflict. Do Hyun gathered his officers. Our next target is Elysium, a cultural center just 2 systems away from the Concord homeworld. We'll transit through the diamond dust radiation field. His science officer looked concerned. The diamond dust field has radiation levels 50% higher than the Cerulean Nebula, Captain. Even with our enhanced shielding, exposure time will need to be limited. How limited? 18 hours maximum. After that, cellular damage becomes irreversible. Do Hyun nodded gravely. Then we'll make the transit in 16. Throughout Concord space, the reality of their situation was becoming clear. The humans weren't fighting according to any recognized doctrine. They didn't seek to hold territory or establish defensive positions. They struck where least expected, using environments the Concord considered deadly as their paths and shields. In the Grand Assembly, a new faction was gaining influence. Led by secondary delegate Merath, they argued for negotiation rather than continued conflict. We cannot defeat an enemy that doesn't fight as we expect, Merath argued. These humans have shown they can reach any of our worlds, yet they've deliberately avoided civilian targets. This suggests they want resolution, not conquest. But the majority still favored the military option, believing their technological superiority and greater numbers would eventually prevail. Double the bounty for captured human ships, ordered the first delegate. We need to study how they survive conditions that should kill them. Little did they know that the humans were already implementing the next phase of their strategy. As the Hansong prepared to enter the diamond dust field, Subin made a breakthrough in her research. Captain, I've analyzed the Concord communication protocols, she reported excitedly. They rely on quantum-paired transmitters that are unaffected by normal jamming techniques. Can we interrupt them? Du Hyun asked. Subin smiled. Better. We can mimic them. With these algorithms, we can send false orders to Concord ships. This new capability would prove decisive in the coming days. As human vessels continued their hit-and-run attacks, false orders sent Concord reinforcements to the wrong locations or had them stand down at critical moments. The Concord, a civilization that had known only peace and stability for millennia, found itself facing an enemy forged in the fires of a world they had dismissed as too harsh for true civilization. They had believed that evolution on a death world had made humans dangerous animals. Now they were learning the truth. Earth hadn't made humans dangerous. It had made them unstoppable. The Concord's desperate gambit, an all-out assault on Earth itself, was their final error. As their armada approached the Sol system, they discovered too late that Earth was not humanity's only stronghold, but one world among many. The trap closed as Admiral Tawan's fleet appeared behind them, while Earth's defense grid activated ahead. Caught between, the Concord fleet found itself fighting enemies who welcomed the chaos of space combat, who thrived in conditions the Concord found lethal. On the captured Concord flagship, Jae-hee faced the Supreme Commander. Your mistake wasn't attacking us, she said. It was assuming that because we evolved on a harsh world, we couldn't understand peace. We value it precisely because we know how fragile it is. The peace treaty established a new galactic order, one where the Deathworlders of Earth taught the Concord that true strength comes not from avoiding hardship, but from overcoming it. First Delegate Cyril stood before the Grand Assembly of the Galactic Concord. The enormous chamber, usually a place of measured debate and ceremonial procedure, now buzzed with fear. Reports from across Concord space showed the same pattern. Human strikes appearing where they should not be possible, hitting with precision, then vanishing before an adequate response could be mounted. "We have tried patience," Cyril announced, his voice amplified throughout the chamber. "We have tried dividing our forces to defend our worlds. Neither approach has succeeded against these Deathworlders." The massive display behind him showed the current state of the conflict. Concord ships, once organized in perfect formations, were scattered across dozens of systems, responding to attacks that seemed to have no pattern or purpose beyond proving human capability. "Therefore," Cyril continued, "I propose a final solution. We will gather our remaining ships for a direct assault on the human homeworld. Strike at their heart, and these raids will cease." The plan was desperate, perhaps even reckless, but the Concord's methodical nature had failed against human unpredictability. Now they would try something unpredictable themselves. Secondary Delegate Mereth rose to object. "First Delegate, our intelligence indicates that Sol system is heavily defended, and the humans have demonstrated they can strike anywhere in our territory. If we commit our remaining forces to this attack, if we destroy their homeworld," Cyril interrupted, "they will lose the will to continue. All species defend their origin point most fiercely. The humans will be no different." The vote was not unanimous, but fear carried the day. The order went out across Concord space. All available ships were to converge for a final assault on Earth itself. In Earth's command center, Admiral Ta-1 received the intelligence with a grim smile. The Concord's movements were exactly as predicted. "They're gathering their fleet," he informed the assembled officers, just as Subin suggested they would. Science Officer Subin stood nearby, still analyzing incoming data. Their psychology makes them predictable, even when they try to be unpredictable. They see Earth as our critical vulnerability because they can't imagine a species not being centered around its homeworld. Commander Jahi nodded. "That's their final mistake. They still don't understand what Earth taught us." The human defense plan had been prepared weeks earlier, when Subin first theorized this Concord response. Now it was put into motion. While Earth's defenses were strengthened, the majority of human forces moved into position for the trap. Captain Duhyun's Hansong joined Task Force Avalanche, hiding in the radiation rings of Saturn. Other task forces concealed themselves in the asteroid belt, in Jupiter's magnetic field, and in the sensor-disrupting clouds of the Oort cloud. Earth appeared relatively undefended, a deliberate illusion to draw the Concord deeper into the trap. On the Hansong's bridge, Du Hyun addressed his crew. "This will likely be our most difficult battle yet. The Concord is coming with everything they have, expecting to find our homeworld vulnerable. Instead, they'll find us waiting." Throughout the Sol system, human ships waited in environments the Concord would normally avoid. Conditions the humans found uncomfortable but survivable would be devastating to the invaders. 3 days later, the Concord Armada arrived. Over 200 ships emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. Their sleek designs and perfect formation reflected their confidence. They expected to face a desperate defense of Earth, not a carefully planned ambush. First Delegate Cyril, commanding from the new flagship Inevitable Victory surveyed the system. Minimal defenses detected around the third planet. They've committed their forces to raiding our territory, leaving their homeworld vulnerable. Proceed as planned. The Concord fleet moved forward in precise formation. Their sensors swept the system, but failed to detect the human ships hiding in radiation belts, asteroid fields, and gas giant atmospheres. These were places the Concord would never think to look, conditions they considered lethal. As the armada passed the orbit of Mars, Admiral Ta-1 gave the order. All task forces, execute Operation Avalanche. Across the Sol system, human ships burst from their hiding places. Task Force Tsunami emerged from Jupiter's radiation belt. Task Force Earthquake rose from Venus's toxic atmosphere. The Hansong led Task Force Avalanche from Saturn's rings. On the Inevitable Victory alarms blared as sensors suddenly detected ships appearing from all directions. "Impossible," exclaimed the Concord tactical officer. They were hiding in the radiation zones. Cyril stared at the tactical display in horror. The human ships weren't just behind them. They were everywhere, cutting off retreat and surrounding the Concord formation. "All ships, defensive positions," he ordered. But the perfectly organized Concord formation, designed for a frontal assault on Earth, couldn't react quickly enough to the multi-directional threat. Human vessels attacked from all sides, their weapons enhanced by the very environmental factors the Concord avoided. The Hansong led a direct assault on the Concord flagship, its reinforced hull absorbing punishment that would have shattered most ships. Around it, smaller human vessels executed unpredictable maneuvers, confusing Concord targeting systems programmed for optimal, predictable engagement patterns. "They're trying to reorganize," Du Hyun observed as the Concord ships struggled to form a defensive sphere. "Push harder. Don't give them time to adapt." Aboard the Inevitable Victory First Delegate Cyril watched his carefully planned attack disintegrate into chaos. Human ships seemed to appear from nowhere, strike hard, then vanish into conditions that Concord sensors couldn't penetrate. "We need to break through to Earth," he insisted. "Once we threaten their homeworld, they'll surrender." But the path to Earth was blocked by more than ships. The planet's defense grid activated, creating a web of energy and weapons platforms. Behind the Concord fleet, Admiral Ta-1's forces closed the trap, cutting off retreat. The Concord fleet found itself caught between Earth's defenses and the human ships attacking from behind. Worse, the humans seemed to welcome the chaos of battle, while Concord crews struggled with conditions they were never designed to endure. As the battle raged, Commander Jae-hee led a special operation. With the Concord fleet fully engaged, a small stealth vessel approached the Inevitable Victory On board, Jae-hee and a team of elite Marines prepared for boarding action. "Remember," she told her team, "we're not here to destroy. We're here to end this." Using the confusion of battle as cover, their ship docked with the Concord flagship. The boarding team deployed, using the same tactics that had proven so effective at New Eden. They'd brought Earth conditions with them: higher gravity, variable temperatures, and atmospheric compositions that the Concord found disorienting. The Concord security teams were unprepared for enemies who could function in what they considered hostile environments. Jae-hee's team moved quickly through the ship, heading for the command center. When they breached the bridge, they found First Delegate Cyril and his command staff trying desperately to salvage their failing attack. The humans entered with weapons ready but not firing. "First Delegate Cyril," Jae-hee announced, "your fleet is trapped. Your attack has failed. This can end now without further bloodshed." Cyril stared at the human commander in disbelief. "How did you know we would come here? How did you prepare this trap?" "Because we understand you better than you understand us," Jae-hee replied. "You saw our Deathworld origins and concluded we must be violent, primitive creatures. You've never considered what else Earth taught us." Around the Sol system, the battle was turning decisively against the Concord. Their ships, designed for precision and efficiency, couldn't adapt to the chaotic conditions the humans had created. One by one, they were disabled or forced to surrender. On the captured Concord flagship, Jae-hee faced the Supreme Commander. "Your mistake wasn't attacking us," she said. "It was assuming that because we evolved on a harsh world, we couldn't understand peace. We value it precisely because we know how fragile it is." Cyril looked at the tactical display, showing his defeated fleet. "What happens now?" Will you destroy our worlds as we threatened yours? No, Jahe said firmly. We want peace. We always did. But peace must be built on mutual respect, not subjugation. In the following days, a ceasefire took effect. The Concord fleet, what remained of it, was allowed to return to their territory under escort. Delegate Merath, who had opposed the attack on Earth, was elevated to lead peace negotiations. 1 month later, representatives from Earth and the Concord met on neutral ground, a space station orbiting Jupiter. The massive gas giants, swirling storms, and powerful radiation belts served as a backdrop to the historic meeting. Admiral Ta-1 led the Earth delegation, with Commander Jahe, Captain Du-hyun, and Science Officer Su-bin among the representatives. They faced Merath and a chastened Concord diplomatic corps. We propose a new relationship, Ta-1 stated, not one of conqueror and conquered, but of equals with different strengths. The peace treaty that emerged established a new galactic order. Humanity would share their adaptability and resilience, helping the Concord develop technologies to navigate environments they had previously avoided. In exchange, the Concord would share their advanced medical and cultural knowledge. As the delegates signed the treaty, Jahe looked out at Jupiter's storms. Earth had taught humanity that survival required both strength and cooperation. Now they would teach that lesson to the stars. Years later, Concord ships began incorporating human designs, more robust, more adaptable. Human worlds benefited from Concord medical technology. Joint missions explored regions of space previously considered too dangerous. The term Deathworlder remained, but its meaning changed. Once a slur, it became a mark of respect. The species forged in Earth's challenges had proven that true strength comes not from avoiding hardship, but from overcoming it. And across the galaxy, the story spread of the Concord's last mistake, the day they summoned the Deathworlder fleet and learned what it truly meant to face humans in battle.